the cup we'd rather not drink. What Jesus teaches about surrender in a self-focused age. It was late. The moon hung heavy over Gethsemane like a watchful eye. The Passover meal was finished. The feet were washed. The betrayer had already slipped into the night. Now it was just Jesus. And the weight of what came next. He asked his friends to stay awake, but they couldn't. He asked his Father if the cup could pass, but it wouldn't. And so he sweat blood. Not because he feared death like any other man, but because he knew this wasn't just a physical death. This was spiritual agony. Separation, the sin of the world being placed on the sinless shoulders of the Son. If you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. In our age of self-empowerment, surrender sounds like failure. We hear messages like, follow your dreams, chase your truth, do what feels right to you. But Jesus shows us something radically different. He was fully God and yet fully surrendered, not out of weakness, but out of trust. And if the Son of God had to kneel before the Father's will, what makes us think surrender will come without a struggle? Let's bring this into today's world. Your cup might look different, but it's just as bitter. A single mother deciding not to retaliate in court, trusting God will defend her integrity. A young man turning down a high-paying job because it would compromise his convictions. A nurse walking into another 12-hour shift in a war zone, knowing she could go somewhere safer but choosing to stay. A burned-out believer forgiving the person who publicly shamed them, even when everyone else tells them to cancel. Surrender isn't about giving up, it's about giving over. Not my will, yours. Here's what we often forget. Jesus didn't skip to the cross with ease. He wrestled. He sweat. He asked if there was another way. And that, in itself, gives us permission to struggle. Obedience isn't always instant. It's often a slow yes that drips from trembling lips. But it isn't that yes that redemption flows. The garden felt like defeat, but it birthed victory. Gethsemane wasn't the end, it was the beginning of the cross, which led to the empty tomb. We often want resurrection without gets, glory without surrender, hope without sacrifice, but the kingdom doesn't work like that. Sometimes, the only way forward is through the cup. Jesus didn't rush surrender. He prayed 3 times. He was honest about his pain. So what does that tell us? It's okay to struggle with obedience. It's okay to wrestle before and most of all, it's okay to ask God to carry you through what you can't carry alone. Discussion questions. What does surrender look like in your life right now? Is there a cup you've been asking God to take away? In what ways does modern culture resist the idea of submission to God's will? Have you ever seen unexpected fruit come from a difficult moment of surrender? Next episode. The Market Temple. When Jesus disrupts what we've gotten comfortable with, Jesus once flipped tables not to destroy the temple, but to restore its purpose. In our next episode, we'll talk about the uncomfortable moments when Jesus overturns things in our lives, comforts, even church traditions, not to punish, but to purify. What do we do when Jesus messes with the parts of our lives we thought were fine?